What's up, everyone? Joe here with Excursion Cuts. I've been an Adobe user since before they moved to the CC subscription model, and they've remained pretty consistent in releasing regular updates that expand the functionality of their software. Sometimes these updates are aimed at Hollywood-level post-production houses, and sometimes they release features that are appealing to little dog and pony shows like mine. So let me go ahead and share with you 6 features that I use in every single video I edit. So I'll go ahead and I'll start in the order of most post-production pipelines. Number 1, ingest/proxy workflow. Proxy workflows used to be a real pain in the ass, but a few years ago Adobe simplified this workflow so that Premiere Pro and Adobe Media Encoder can do all the heavy lifting for us. You just have to set a couple of parameters, and then when you import your footage, Adobe Media Encoder will transcode everything in the background, allowing you to begin cutting your footage. And then once the files have been converted, Premiere will simply swap them out, unbeknownst to you, and you will now have proxies or transcoded files on your timeline. So let me show you how to set this up. Whenever you launch Premiere and you begin a new project, you're greeted with this window right here. You come up here, you can give it a name, wherever you want this to go. Stick that on the desktop. If you go over here to ingest settings, we're just going to click here for ingest. You have several options right here. You can copy, you can transcode, create proxies, and then copy and create proxies. Now, proxies, again, are low resolution files that make it a little bit easier for you to edit. Not only are they smaller in terms of resolution, but they're going to be in what's called an intermediary codec or an editing codec. Now, I usually simply transcode my footage, so I keep all of the dimensions and everything the same on my footage. But instead of, the H.264 delivery codec that my cameras record in, I usually set it to GoPro Cineform YUV 10-bit. This will make working with the footage a lot easier when you're actually cutting it up on your timeline. Number 2, optical flow. If you're working with B-roll montage sequences, you've no doubt encountered an issue where you have a clip on your timeline and you want it to occupy more space on your timeline. Maybe you have a gap in here that you want to fill up. If you don't have the actual footage there, meaning if you had shot a short clip, it's only a second or two long, but you still need it to fill this space, one thing you could do is tap R on your keyboard, change over to the rate tool, and you can simply stretch this out. So what you're going to end up getting if you shot your footage at 24 frames per second is you're going to get some fairly jittery playback. You can kind of see how the snow is doing some funky stuff right there. Simply right-click on your clip, go to time duration, set this to optical flow. And this is going to use a frame interpolation technology that will not play back unless the timeline is rendered. So if you put some in and out points on your clip right there, I just put the cursor here at the beginning, I hit I, put it at the end, tap O for out, then just hit return. And of course, once this is done rendering, you're going to get much smoother playback than you would if you had just left it at 24 frames per second. Number 3, GPU accelerated Gaussian blur. Adobe have gradually increased the number of effects that utilize the processing power of our GPUs. Gaussian blur is one I reach for pretty much all the time. Sometimes I need to blur out something for privacy issues, or sometimes I want to apply, like a subtle Orton effect. And this allows me to do that very quickly, really at no expense to my processor. Having this constantly increasing number of GPU accelerated effects is a welcome touch. Number 4, the Lumetri color panel. The Lumetri color panel has been built upon since it was initially added, and it's come a long way. I can see some additional room for improvement, but for quick GPU accelerated color correction / grading, it's great. And if you've been a subscriber to my channel, you know I'm a huge fan of Red Giant's plugins for color grading, and I still use them. However, I do find myself using the Lumetri color panel in conjunction with those plugins a lot now. White balance, for example, is really easy to grab over here in basic correction and set your white balance. And of course, the most recent release added all of these color curves for hue versus luma, hue versus sat, hue versus hue. They're really convenient. This luma versus sat is a nice way to desaturate your shadows. Number 5, the Essential Sound Panel. Before Adobe released the first version of the Essential Sound panel, I longed for an audio equivalent of the Lumetri Color panel, or an idiot panel. I, like many editors, am not an expert in the realm of post-audio. I know enough to be dangerous, and having the ability to simply move a couple sliders around and get some noticeably better audio is a huge time saver and just a really welcomed addition to Premiere. Number 6. Adobe Remix. This feature is actually in Adobe Audition. I'd like to see this one added to Premiere in the future, as it's really changed the way I search for royalty-free music. I no longer need to search for particular durations, or worry about spending a lot of time recutting it to get everything to fit into my project. Bring it into Audition, come over here, click on Enable Remix, and as soon as Adobe Audition is done analyzing this clip, we'll simply be able to scrub over here on the target duration to either shorten or lengthen this audio clip. What it does is it'll recut it in various places, blend it together seamlessly so you won't even be able to tell where they cut it, and force this clip to fit into your project. It's beautiful. So if I come over here, if I want to shorten this, move this, you can see that little squiggly line right here is a place where it actually recut the clip. My screen capture software doesn't record audio from the computer, so I won't play this, but I have to take my word for it. It blends together really nicely. This is a huge game changer for me. Of course, Adobe have added a ton more than these 6 features over the years, many of which I reach for regularly, but I wanted to share these 6 specific features as I really do use them in every video that I edit. What features do you use? Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe to Excursion Cuts and gently tap that notification bell. Thank you so much for watching. Happy travels.